Hello, everyone. I'm Ellen Sentier, and this is Celtic Noir. And please excuse me today if I cough. I'm just getting over a rather stinking cold and doing well. And tip, if anybody wants it, honey and lemon. Real honey, real lemon. Hot water. Dead easy. Cures it really fast. Anyway, enough of my cold. We're not here to talk about my cold. I'm going to read to you today. I'm reading to you from my first novel, Owl Woman. Somebody asked me, how about it? How about we have a bit of that? Because we've had a bit of Moonsong. So I'm going to read you the first couple of chapters of Owl Woman. Chapter 1, Vicky. Vicky wrestled silently with her invisible captor. She knew it was a dream, one of those terrible ones where you're out of control, no way out, but there was nothing she could do. Fear, cold and palpable, gripped her, and she couldn't move. And suddenly she was free, flying over the treetops, darkness rushing beneath her, moonlight blinding her. Then it all came into focus, and she found herself hovering above the tower as a barn owl. A man stood below her on the ledge, on the edge of the waterfall, something golden in his hands. He held it up to the light, and now she could see it was the cup. No, you mustn't do that. She tried to call out to him, to tell him, but only the screech of an owl came out. He ducked, startled, let go of the cup, and fell. She watched him plummet down the 50-foot waterfall and hit the pool like solid concrete. His body plunged through and carried on down to the bottom, where he smashed his head open on the rocks. And slowly he floated up to the surface again, pinwheeling like one of Van Gogh's crazy stars. She hovered over him, unable to cry, unable to speak. Something bright glimmered in the water near him. He turned towards it, his finger pointing. It was the cup. How the hell was it floating? She strained to speak to him, but it was no good. He caught her eyes. He could see her. Somehow he wasn't dead yet. He tried to turn to reach for the cup, but just as his fingers touched it, it slipped away from him and sank down into the water. He looked at Vicky desperately, his lips moving. "Remember," he said soundlessly, "remember." Everything went hazy. Now, when she wanted to stay in the dream, stay with him, she was coming awake. She felt herself falling backwards down the long, dark tunnel towards the point of light at its end. She concentrated on it as the feeling left her body and consciousness slipped away into the mist. Lightning jolted through her. She sat bolt upright in the bed just as the phone began to ring. "Vicky? Vicky?" she heard Vera's voice dimly through the fog in her head. "Vicky, Jacob is dead. Your father is dead." She sat still, clutching the receiver, hearing Vera's voice calling to her but not knowing it. "Mummy? Mummy, is that you?" she began. "Vicky, love, 'tis Vera here. Lovey, come back. Come back to me. Speak to me." The fog began to thin. "But Vera?" "Yes, dearie, it's me, Vera. Can you hear me all right? Vicky? Vicky? You sound so far away, lovey. Speak to me." "Dad's dead?" "Yes, dear. Your father is dead." Vicky sat staring, silence inside her and out. "Vicky?" The fog was nearly gone now. "Dead? He's dead?" "Yes, dead." Vera waited. "Oh, shit, damn!" Vera could hear her banging her hand against something. The noise stopped. Silence then. "Daddy, I never said goodbye to you," Vicky whispered. Vera choked off a sob and then waited. What happened? It was the child's voice, the same child who had asked where her mother was 23 years ago. It was me as found him. He was in the Tower pool, drowned. Us don't know no more. Joe's called police. Will you come home now, me dear one? We do surely need you. Vera's voice trailed off into silence. I'm coming, Vicky said at last. I'm coming home. I'll be there as soon as I can. Oh, Vera, Vera. But the line was dead. She sat staring blankly at the receiver in her hand. Daddy, where are you? She cried out softly, but only her own voice echoed an answer. Groggily, she switched on the light, pulled a blanket round her, and stumbled down to the kitchen. She could still feel the feathers on her face and see trees beneath her. She felt in limbo, hanging between worlds. She knew in her head that she was in the kitchen of her own flat in London, that it was her tribal rug beneath her feet, not a forest. But her heart told her she was in the wilderness. She made tea with sugar, choking on the sweet syrupy liquid. I'm okay, she told herself, just in shock. Nothing special about that. And she began to giggle, shaking the tea all over the floor. The giggling turned into shivering, crying. Oh God, I'm going mad, she whispered and hugged the blanket closer. Something in her autopilot made her pick up the phone and call Faye. Hello? The groggy voice queried after several rings. Faye, it's me, Vicky. Well, what? Voice snapped into her focus. What is it, darling? What's happened? Vicky tried to speak, but nothing came out. She choked and sobbed into the phone. Vicky, it's okay, darling. I'm here. Faye began to mumble comforting noises into the phone, giving Vicky time. Dad, dead, Vicky managed at last. Hold on there. You hold on there. I'm on my way. Okay, Vicky? You hear me? I'm coming. I'm coming to you. Hang on, okay? Oh, please be quick. Vicky sat clutching the receiver. The coldness ran through her. She wanted to run away to the place between the worlds where nothing happened, nothing hurt. What am I going to do? She whispered into the silence. Faye found her still clutching the dead phone. Gently, she wrapped her in another blanket and tipped Rescue Remedy down her throat. Vicky could feel Faye's arms around her, and the world began to come back into focus. What are you going to do? Faye asked, once she was fit enough to sit by herself on the sofa. Go home. Are you okay? Can you drive? Shall I drive you? No. It was fierce as a wildcat. Then she turned back to Faye. No, please, I'm better, look. And she held out her hand. It's steady now. No more shaking, see? I don't know. But I do. Vicky walked a straight line to the kitchen and back. Look, no wobbles. She came and sat in the arm of Faye's chair. Let me go. I have to go by myself. I need to. It's no good with you. I'll give up and let you look after me. Vicky, are you really sure? Vicky nodded. I must go alone. Okay. Faye held Vicky, kissed her. Can I help you pack? Get you something to eat? Food would be good. I don't want to eat, but I should, I suppose. Yes, you should. Faye watched Vicky's back as she went up the stairs. Fly well, dear one, she whispered. As though she heard, Vicky turned and smiled down at Faye. Later, she took the car up the ramp in the underground car park and out into Vestry Street. The roads were quiet, silent, strange for London, even at 4:30 in the morning. She slid round the roundabout and up Old Street, heading for the M3 and home. Merle would be there. Chapter 2. Merle. Merle watched the owl's face grow in the computer screen until it blotted out all the costings he'd been working on. It changed, swirling, shape-shifting, becoming almost human. The eyes dark wormholes, holding his, dragging him down. Just before his head hit the keyboard, he came to. He passed out for a moment. Now he sat up, breathing hard, blinking, trying to get his focus, but still mesmerized by the owl face on the screen. He watched it fade, watched the costings return. The thing had blinked at him, and he could smell it. He wanted to hope it was just the burgundy and camembert he and Jacob had put away earlier, but he knew it wasn't. The owl face had dissolved into hers. God damn, he thought. That was over 10 years ago. A loud, trailing cree of a barn owl shattered the silence. Goldie sat up, bottling her tail, jumped off the desk and headed for the door when she turned to look at him. What is it, girl? The cat stared at him out of huge, unblinking silver eyes. He groaned. The wind was rising. It was late. But he followed her to find her stood by the kitchen door. She trilled sharply. Okay, I'm coming. He dragged on boots, a thick coat, found a scarf. He was about to open the door when the cat trilled at him again. Eh? Oh, yes. He went to the pantry, collected a piece of meat out of the fridge and a bowl. Goldie led him across the yard into the lane, past the stone pig herm who guarded his gate, and down to the river. The moon made a path across the water to the island by the Clapper Bridge. He scooped up the cat and carried her across into the shore of hollies. She jumped onto a tree stump and sat curled, waiting. Merle collected some kindling and built a small, hot fire in the shelter of the hollies. Its white smoke rose in a thin column until it came up above the tops of the trees, and then the wind took it. He took a small bowl out of his pocket and got some water from the river, muttered over it, took a sip, and set it down by the fire. Then he sat down on the other tree stump to wait. The Clapper Bridge was a white skeleton in the moonlight. The birch trees glimmered ghostly on either bank. How long would it be? A pile of wood would last a while yet, but he built up the fire. The trees soughed wilder than before. The winds were rising again. Would it come? A movement caught his eye from the far bank, and he saw the owl launch from a tree at the other end of the bridge. It flew silently across the river, wing beats strobing in the moonlight, to land on a branch at the entrance to the holly cave. Come, friend, Merle whispered. He fished the meat out of his pocket and offered it. The owl stooped, snatched the meat from Merle's hand, and took it back to the holly branch, where it sat tearing at it, thoughtfully, watching him. Goldie gave a low mutter in her throat, arched, then set her tail around her paws and sat still as a stone. Merle stared into the flames. The image came. He was up by the waterfall with Jacob. A scream shattered the silence, and they both ducked, but Jacob slipped and fell. Merle stood bodiless, helpless at the top of the cliff, watching as Jacob fell into the pool. The vision changed. Now he could see the cup. It came closer and closer. He reached out to take it, but the image exploded into pain. He came to and found he had put his hand in the fire. He crouched beside the stump, hugging his hand under his armpit, groaning and swearing. The owl flew down and rubbed its beak against his burned hand. He stared into the golden eyes. "Help me," he heard inside his head. That's all I'm going to read to you this time, but I might read you some more later. It's my first novel, and it's centered around the story of the well which my aunt owned in the village where we lived. I love it still, and maybe you do too. But that's it for this week, so see you on the other side.